Good morning. We're celebrating the third Sunday of Easter from the Acts of the Apostles. Then Peter stood up with the 11, raised his voice, and proclaimed, "You who are Jews, indeed all of you staying in Jerusalem, let this be known to you. Listen to my words. You who are Israelites, hear these words. Jesus the Nazarene was a man condemned to you by God with mighty deeds, wonders, and signs, which God worked through him in your midst, as you yourselves know. This man delivered up by the set plan and foreknowledge of God you killed, using lawless men to crucify him. But God raised him up, releasing him from the throes of death, because it was impossible for him to be held by it. For David says of him, I saw the Lord ever before me. With him at my right hand I shall not be disturbed. Therefore my heart has been glad, my tongue is exalted, my flesh too will dwell in hope. Because you will not abandon my soul to the netherworld, nor will you suffer your Holy One to see corruption. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. My brothers, one can confidently say to you about the patriarch David that he died and was buried, and his tomb is in our midst to this day. Since he was a prophet and knew that God had sworn an oath to him that he would set one of his descendants upon his throne, he foresaw and spoke of the resurrection of the Christ, that neither was abandoned to the netherworld, nor did his flesh see corruption. God raised this Jesus. Of this we are all witnesses. Exalted at the right hand of God, he received the promise of the Holy Spirit from the Father and poured him forth, as you see and hear. Thanks be to God. Reading from the first letter of St. Peter. Beloved, if you invoke as Father him who judges impartially according to each one's words, conduct yourselves with reverence during the time of your sojourning, realizing that you were ransomed from your futile conduct handed on by your ancestors, not with perishable things like silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a spotless, unblemished lamb. He was known before the foundation of the world, but revealed in the final time for you, who through him believe in God, who raised him from the dead and gave him glory, so that your faith and hope are in God. The word of the Lord. Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. That very day, the first day of the week, 2 of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus. They were conversing about all the things that had occurred. It happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them, but their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looked downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?" And he replied to them, "What sort of things?" They said to him, "The things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, how our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. Then some of those with us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets spoke! Was it not necessary that the Christ would suffer these things and enter into his glory?" Then beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them, and it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that, their eyes were opened. They recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11, and those with them who were saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way, and how he was made known to them in the breaking of bread. The Gospel of the Lord. Two people walking a 7-mile walk to Emmaus, and yet the only one mentioned is Cleopas. Why? Probably because the other disciple was his wife Mary, who would not have been mentioned at all because she was a woman. Those are the realities. After an agonizing week in which their hopes and dreams were turned to grief and despair because their leader was crucified, they felt it was time to go back to their previous lives. This past week was the last straw for them. Even when some reported that the tomb Jesus was laid in was empty, there was no hope. Because the body was gone. With no body, there was no sign of life, no reason to hope. This gospel story, people, unique to Luke, has all the themes of the author: journey, new sight meal, discipleship, hospitality. Problem with this couple on the road to Emmaus is that they're going in the wrong direction. It is Easter Sunday, the day when death loses its sting. People of faith should be rejoicing, and this couple is leaving town in a hurry. They're running away. They're so blind that they do not recognize Jesus as he walks with them. When they finally realize who this stranger is, they rush back to Jerusalem, another 7-mile run back. They tell their companions about meeting Jesus along the way, and that's code language for the journey of faith. It is through this encounter with Jesus that they find their way back to their true identity. The Last Supper has Jesus telling his disciples he would not share with them again until the kingdom comes. We see that in the breaking of bread, that the reign of God is here. When we gather at Eucharist, we do so as broken people, suffering from many problems and difficulties, personally and with family and friends. The key is that we don't move in the wrong direction, away from Jesus and away from those we love and away from those who love us. So many people spend their lives seeking answers to the wrong questions. How can I become prosperous or rich? They spend their lives that happiness can be bought. The question we need to ask ourselves is, how can I be a better person than I even am now? We're called away from grief and despair and toward joy and renewed hope. We do not do this alone, but with others who travel with us and are there to help us. More importantly, we do this with Jesus Christ. God bless everyone. Have a good week.